Hello everyone and welcome to Nervous Nessie. Today I wanted to give you 5 different weird, oddball things that you may want to bring back with you whenever you travel. Most people pick up regular souvenirs, and which is fine, I do that. But then there are sometimes you just want to bring back something different. So I wanted to give you 5 things that you might bring back with you the next time you travel. So let's get into it. The first thing that you might want to bring back may be food. I have brought back food several times from wherever I visited. Now, you do have to keep in mind TSA rules whenever you bring back food. If it is something that can be spread or melt or anything like that, then you won't be able to bring it back. Things like coffee, don't bring that back. That's kind of a red flag. Spices can look questionable to TSA. If you want to bring those types of things back, you can, but it needs to be in your checked luggage. You can't bring it in your carry-on. But I'm talking more about weird, odd food. I had 3 incidences. One, I went to Chicago and went to the bakery there and wanted to get these desserts that they had. I had to plan my trip to where I would go to the bakery, pick it up, and immediately head to the airport because I wanted it to be frozen. Because if it started to thaw, then the actual dessert would be considered spreadable and I wouldn't be able to bring it back. And so I was able to bring all of it back, but it had to be frozen. Another time I wanted to bring back a specialty meat, and so I had to have it frozen and put it in aluminum foil, wrapped it in aluminum foil, and brought it back in a little cooler inside my bag, frozen. That way I had that specialty meat that I could cook back home instead of having to have it shipped. I've also had meals taken back. Back in my hometown, there is a restaurant that I love to go to, and they have one dish on the menu that is just to die for. I love this dish. I can actually taste it right now talking about it. And I wanted to have some back with me at home on the actual other coast. My family's on the East Coast, I'm on the West Coast. And so I had to go to the restaurant and order the meal. And then when I got to my parents' house, I had to essentially take it and put it in foil and freeze it, and then put it in my luggage in a small, soft cooler where I could fly it back to the West Coast. And it worked. It stayed frozen. It was like a brick when I got back because I had put so much foil and let it freeze for a couple of days. But it's nice to have that meal from wherever you visited back at home, and so it's a reminder of your trip. The second thing that you might want to bring back with you is going to be wine or a specialty alcohol. Now, you can bring alcohol on the plane and bring wine on the plane, but it needs to be in your checked luggage because most of the time it's going to be a lot bigger than the 3-ounce limit for your carry-on. And I have actually brought back wine. I brought back like 5 bottles of wine that I couldn't find in California, oddly enough. And since California is kind of a wine capital of the United States, but I wanted to bring back these bottles of wine. What I did is essentially in my checked luggage, I took several of my pairs of pants and tops and rolled the bottles of wine in the actual clothing. And then I separated them out, put like one bottle of wine on one end, one on the other, put them on the edges, and then one in the middle. That way the bottles wouldn't hit each other. Now, there is the possibility that as you are traveling and your luggage is getting tossed around, those bottles could break. So you might want to get a plastic bag to put the bottle in. Maybe that will help contain any type of spillage, and then wrap your clothes around the wine. But wine is a nice thing to bring back whenever you travel. It's also a nice gift. Whenever you are traveling, you pick up a bottle of wine wherever you're at and bring it back to your friends and family when you get back home from your trip. The third thing that is kind of odd that you might want to pick up on your trip as a souvenir would be antique or vintage items. Maybe you're at a market in whatever place you're visiting and you find this really cool antique item or vintage item and you want to bring that back home. You can do that. Just keep in mind that if it is fragile, it could get broken in your suitcase. So you might want to put it in your carry-on. That way you have more control over it getting jostled around. Same thing goes with if it's valuable. A lot of vintage and antique items can get very valuable. And if you pick up something that is valuable, put it in your carry-on. Don't put it in your checked luggage. And same thing with the wine. If it is fragile or it is valuable and you don't want it to get scuffed up, maybe wrap a piece of your clothing around it to help protect it when you go to put it in your carry-on. The fourth thing that you might want to bring back with you may be ceremonial or religious items in whatever area you've been visiting. You may be visiting a place that has a lot of culture and has the opportunity for you to buy ceremonial or religious items and bring that back home. A lot of people collect those things. Maybe it's important to you. Maybe you are a student of anthropology or history. Then having those type of items in your home can be quite nice and it reminds you of your trip. But if you're going to be traveling with those items, be respectful of those items. Maybe when you go to purchase it, ask the person that you are purchasing it from, what is the best way to travel with this item, because you don't want to be disrespectful. Especially if it is a religious item. If you are going to a country where religion is extremely important to that country and you pick up a religious item, you don't want to be disrespectful, because if you get to the TSA of that country and they are going through your things and they see that you have been disrespectful, then you could get on the bad list. You could get in trouble, make them quite mad. So you want to be respectful if you are bringing back ceremonial or religious items as souvenirs. The fifth thing that you might want to bring back that's kind of odd, that you may not really think of in terms of a souvenir, is nature indigenous to that area. This could be if you are going to a beach, you pick up some sand, or you pick up a rock, or some type of stick, or some piece of nature, maybe a leaf, or whatever it could be. Bringing back nature from that area is a nice way to remember the area. However, keep in mind that you may not be able to bring it back, especially if you are going from country to country. You may not be able to bring those nature items into the country. some of the items could be considered dangerous or invasive to your home country, and so you may not be able to bring it back. Also, some places it could be against the law to take the nature. I went to Hawaii and they told us that you should not bring back volcanic rock, that it should be left on the island of Hawaii, and you should not bring back volcanic rock to the mainland of the United States. And so you don't want to pick up those items and then you get through TSA and they catch those items. That can make them very mad, and you may even have to pay some type of fine for bringing those back. But just read up on the laws of the area and the customs of the area and see if it's something that you could bring back. A lot of people, they go with sand. It's kind of nice to get a little small jar or a little small vial of sand of whatever beach that you've been to. And some beaches, the sand is very different. I know in Hawaii, a lot of the sand is black because of the volcanoes. In some areas, the sand is more of a yellow color or more of a white color or even a pink color. So whenever you're traveling, you might want to pick up some sand and then label the bottle where you got it from. But just remember to check the local laws and to check with TSA to see if it's something you can bring back. And I wanted to throw in one bonus item. If you want something different to bring back as a souvenir, but you can't really think of anything, bring back currency. You can collect currency. Obviously, it doesn't have to be a lot. You wouldn't want to spend a whole bunch of money on money just to have money. But a lot of times people collect coins. I actually have an extensive coin collection of money from all over the world. And it's nice to display it or get the money out and remember whenever you were doing a transaction in that country and they gave you those coins back. It's nice to have coins from all over the world and see the difference between all of them, the people that are on the currency or the different amounts. Maybe it's some weird odd amount, or maybe there's different symbols on the currency. But it's nice to have currency from all over the world to look at and compare and even display. I hope you like this video about odd things that you might want to bring back on a trip. And if you have any odd things that you've brought back from a trip, or if you've encountered issues bringing back odd things on a trip, feel free to leave those in the comments below. I would love to hear those. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to know whenever the next video comes out, then subscribe. And I look forward to seeing everyone in the next video. Bye!